2 games to earn a seat.
Morant spins and hits again! Holy cow!
4 rounds to make a statement.
They're close. They're going to go.
1 trophy to define a legacy.
25 NBA champion.
Thunder, Nuggets, starting at the Paycom Center. Game 1 of the Denver OKC series was a big homecoming for Russell Westbrook, and he finally delivered with 18 points on the night in a grind and grit type of game. From the jump, I thought this series was gonna give the Thunder all they could manage, and watching the Nuggets' big guns cemented my belief. Joker was MVP-esque as usual, dishing out history along with 22 rebounds, 6 assists, and 42 points. The Thunder had most things going right in the first half of Game 1, taking a 10-point lead into the break, but the Nuggets cut it to 90-85 by the third. The Thunder were able to open up the lead back to 11 with just over 4 minutes left in the game. And then the Denver veterans started doing veteran things with a 12-1 run to cut the lead to just 1 point. With 12.9 seconds left in the game and still in the lead by 2 points, Daigneault had his team intentionally foul the Nuggets to prevent them from shooting a 3. The Nuggets went to the line twice and made both free throws. Denver then managed to reverse the script with 9.5 seconds on the clock. They fouled Chet, and he missed both free throws, which led to a fast break. With the ball in his hands, leading the break, Russ found Aaron Gordon for a big-time game-winning 3 with 2.8 left on the clock.
It rims out. Brown grabs it. 7 seconds left. Westbrook, 5 seconds. They're down by 1. Gordon got it! Aaron Gordon with a deep shot. The Nuggets steal Game 1. That's a winner for Aaron Gordon, 121-119. They finish the game on a 19-6 run, and they take the series opener against the 1 seed.
Listen, Game 2 was over in less than 24. No joke, the Thunder tied the record for points in any half of a playoff game with 87. The Nuggets, on the other hand, only managed to get 56. SGA played only 3 quarters of the game and had 34 points. Let's just say these OKC boys were a little bit angry that they lost Game 1 at home and wanted to send everyone a message. Game 3 headed to Denver had to have been a game to redeem the Nuggets' pride, and they knew it. They experienced firsthand how quickly the Thunder can put a game out of reach, and they knew they couldn't let that happen again. The game was back and forth with 14 ties and 13 lead changes, but overtime was needed to decide this one. Aaron Gordon came up huge for the Nuggets yet again at the end of regulation, hitting a what the 3 to force OT. The Thunder were all but done at that point, giving up an 11-2 run to the Nuggets in overtime. Let me tell you about Game 4. These dudes were tired after a long overtime game a few days before, and it showed in the score. This was one of the lowest scoring games of the playoffs. Both teams could only manage 25 points combined after the first quarter. The Nuggets only scored 8 in that entire quarter. OKC found extra juice in the second and went into halftime with a 42-36 lead. Despite their woeful 31% shooting and 34 missed threes that game, the Nuggets climbed back and were leading going into the fourth by 8 points. But the Thunder dug deep and went on an 11-0 run, mostly by Cason Wallace and Aaron Wiggins, who both hit key three-pointers to finally put the Thunder up for good at 75-73. Joker was big again with 27 and 13, but his measly 3 assists tell a tale of the poor shooting from the rest of the team. The game ended with the Thunder winning 92-87 to even up the series. Games 5 and 6 were split 1-1 between the teams to force a Game 7. Jokic gave everything he had in Game 5 to the tune of 44 points and 15 rebounds, but it was not enough to topple the balanced OKC offense and tenacious defense led by SGA's 31, 7, and 6. Jokic and his crew then avoided elimination in Game 6 by winning 119-107. On to the deciding Game 7.
Here we go. It's the Denver Nuggets facing off against the OKC Thunder. Winner go home, do or die, brink of elimination. It's a Game 7 to close out the second round.
Denver was kinda okay at the start of Game 7. Murray and MPJ was struggling to score, but the team still went up by 11 early. That didn't last long though. OKC took a timeout around the 2-minute mark and then came out with blood in their eyes. The team then went on a brilliant 18-5 run to open up a 14-point lead going into the half. Jalen Williams was much better than he was in Game 6, dropping 17 in the first half. The onslaught didn't stop at halftime. 9-0 run from OKC to start the third, and the Nuggets had to call a timeout. But the game was basically done. With around 10 minutes left in the fourth and the Thunder up by 30, the Nuggets waved the white flag and emptied the bench. The NBA favorites to win it all, OKC Thunder, are moving on from a grueling 7-game series. The other series in the West saw the T-Wolves squaring off against the Golden State Warriors. Everyone really wanted to see if Steph and Jimmy could do anything with the high-flying, hot-talking Ant-Man. Unfortunately, the intensity of the series was somewhat watered down after Steph suffered a hamstring strain that basically ended his and the Warriors' season. The Warriors managed to win Game 1 mostly due to Jimmy being Jimmy and Buddy Hield continuing his hot shooting. This game was really about the Warriors' defense and hustle. They played hard, smart, and borderline dirty to frustrate the Wolves and take them out of their offense. Game 2 was expected to be much easier than Game 1 due to Curry's injury. The Wolves started the game like they were shot out of a gun with a 13-0 run, went up by as much as 20 in the third, and won the game 117-93. If I said the Warriors were missing the presence of Steph Curry, that would be an understatement. Jimmy was mid. Kuminga was alright, but for the T-Wolves, Julius and Ant-Man proved their worth. Game 3 was not as open and shut as I'd expected. The Warriors without Curry still found ways to hang around and were even leading by 7 in the third quarter. That's where all good things came to an end for them. Both teams struggled throughout the night to make shots, but the Warriors didn't score a field goal attempt for a period of 6 minutes in the fourth. That gave the Wolves enough time to completely erase their lead and firmly go on to close this one out. Game 4 was basically the Warriors' last line of defense. Everyone knew that if they were to realistically hold out until Steph could return, they had to get to Game 4, their last home game. They played like it in the first half of the game and were good enough to bring a 2-point lead to their halftime break. Unfortunately for Dub Nation, they could not sustain that first half energy in the third quarter. The Wolves went on a 17-0 run in the period behind strong shooting from Ant, who had 11 of those points in the run that helped to put them up by 20 going into the fourth. Edwards finished with 35-4 and got a ton of help from Randall, who had 31, 5, and 3. Based on the lack of resistance the Wolves had been facing up to that point, most T-Wolves fans must have had a Game 5 as a closeout game. And it was. The guys got basically anything they wanted on their way to routing the Dubs 121-110. The next two games coming from the Eastern Conference saw the Brunson Knicks battling it out with the star-studded Celtics. This was a disappointing series for many, but for others, oh joy, oh what sweet joy it was. Game 1 started and seemed as if it was about to end as expected when the Celtics pushed the Knicks to a 20-point deficit in the second half of the game on Al Horford's dunk with around 6 minutes left in the third quarter. The score was then 72-52. The Knicks didn't give up though. They almost immediately started to chip away at the lead, and by the end of the quarter, the score was 75-84, only a 9-point deficit. They took that hope into the fourth quarter, knowing they got Mr. Clutch and anything was possible. Brunson tied the game, making a big three with 5:52 left in the quarter as the Knicks won the quarter 25-16, earning a tied 100-100 ball game. On to overtime we go. The Knicks completed the comeback by outscoring the Celtics 8-5 to win the game. The Celtics did manage to set a playoff record in this game. They missed 45 three-pointers. What? Game 2 must have felt like a statement game for the Celtics. Given the brutal Game 1 loss, the Celtics must have wanted to win and win big in Game 2. The C's led 50-41 at halftime, and they were up again by 20 in the third. KP's dunk at 4:05 in the third put the team up 70-50. Then history started to take shape for the Knicks. The New York Knicks is the first team in NBA history to complete a 20-point comeback in back-to-back playoff games and lead a series 2-0. They got contributions from everyone. Josh Hart scored 23 points, Towns finished with 21, and Brunson gave them 17 points. The Celtics couldn't figure out how to score efficiently and only shot 36.2% from the field.
They've got it! They've won it! New York has gone up 2-0.
We found a way to win. That's some wild stuff right there.
Yeah, boy!
The teams have played 149 minutes in 3 games, and even though the Knicks won the first 2, the C's have led a whopping 128 minutes of that time. Yes, we know the Celtics have the best record of the two and are widely considered the favorites, but the Knicks seem to have always found a way to come back and win when it matters. The Celtics didn't plan to have that happen again in Game 3. They didn't really change the core of who they are either. We know there's one thing you can count on the Celtics to do: shoot the three. Boy, oh boy, did they shoot it in Game 3. They shot to the sound of 50% from the three, going 20 of 40 from range. Tatum's almost triple-double led them with 22, 9, and 7, going 5 of 9 from 3. Pritchard came off the bench, hitting 5 of 10 from 3, going for 23 points. For Game 4, the Knicks knew if they got this one at home, they were almost assured of a series victory, sending them to the conference finals for the first time in a quarter century. Brunson didn't want to relive the blowout of Game 3, so he showed up and showed out. He had 39 points and 12 assists, leading the Knicks to a 121-113 victory. Cat and Bridges both contributed 23, and they got a big 20 from OG. To rub salt into the wound, the Celtics lost JT to injury in the fourth, so he would miss Game 5. Tatum was playing in desperation mode and scored 42 points, but it was just not enough to get the rolling Knicks. Game 5 saw the Celtics playing severely wounded. They were missing the services of their leader, Jason Tatum, who got injured in Game 4. They did have enough firepower to do a lot of damage, but would they be able to beat this surging Knicks team? Derek White had 34 points, going off for 7 three-pointers. JB had 26 points and 12 assists, and Pritchard came up huge with 17 points, hitting 5 threes. The C's managed to stay alive, forcing a Game 6 by winning this one 127-102. Brunson understood the importance of Game 6, and his 8 of 14 efficient 23 points reflected that. He also made sure his guys understood the moment and got them going early with 6 assists. This meant everyone got a piece of the Game 6 cake. Cat had 21 and 11, OG had 23, and Bridges dropped 22. There was no way Boston was going to beat all of that production, especially without Tatum. Not to mention Josh Hart, who showed out with a historic triple-double, the Knicks' first playoff triple-double since 1972. Boston made it easy for the Knicks, as they've been doing all series. They've shot only 29.3% from the three, and it appeared that if their threes weren't falling, they didn't know what else to do. The New York Knicks punched their ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000 with a 119-81 win over the Boston Celtics. The final series in this round saw the Pacers running all over the Cavaliers, who had chosen the wrong time in the season to start picking up injuries. Garland wasn't available for Game 1, and this contributed to the Pacers leading basically the entire first half. Cleveland managed to erase a 12-point Pacer lead in the third and go up by a point on a Mobley putback with 3:17 left in the quarter. The rest of the game was neck and neck until Hallie hit a step-back three midway through the fourth to put the Pacers up for good. They won the game 121-112. Mr. Overrated down 22 points and dished 13 assists. He got plenty of help from the other guys. Andrew Nembhard scored 23 points, plus Aaron Nesmith and Pascal Siakam had 17 points apiece. Game 2 was an uphill struggle for the Cavs, even before tip-off. Garland, Mobley, and Hunter were all going to be wearing street clothes due to injuries. That meant they had to face off against Mr. Overrated and his guys without their full arsenal. The Pacers by nature are not a team that has one guy who they need to go off for 30, but instead they use multiple offensive weapons. This game was no different. Miles Turner and Aaron Nesmith both had 23 points and Hallie had 17. There was total drama at the end of this one. The Cavs were ahead by 16 points with 1:04 left on the clock, but the Pacers said challenge accepted. They cut it to 5 with 47 seconds left, and the miracle was halfway complete. The final play of the game saw Mr. Overrated grabbing his own miss off a free throw, dribbling out to the perimeter, and making a dagger three to put away the game 120-119 with 1.1 seconds left on the clock.
Guys have got to do a much better job of getting open.
Misses Haliburton the rebound. 9 seconds. They do have a timeout. Carlisle's going to let him play. Haliburton steps back and hits. Tyrese Haliburton trying to take Cleveland's heart.
Game 3 was a must-win for the Cavs, and they understood the assignment. Going into the second quarter, the game was tied, but someone left the lid on the basket for the Pacers, and they couldn't buy a bucket. The Cavs took the opportunity to open up a 20-point lead in the second, and it was really game over from there. Donovan Mitchell is unreal. Dude had 43 points in Game 3 and was averaging 41 points over the first 3 games of the series, even though they've been struggling to close out games. They did manage to win this one 126-104. For Game 4, the Pacers flipped the Game 3 script on the Cavs and ran over the Cavs, making everyone forget they were the top seed in the East. Just like they've been doing all season, the Pacers set the pace and got contributions from basically the entire roster. They tied the halftime playoff margin record of 41. At one point in the first half, they were leading by 44. By the end of the game, the score was 129-109. Thomas Bryant and his incredible hustle and tenacity on both ends of the floor in the third quarter of Game 5 was really a big part of why the Indiana Pacers were able to close out the Cavs in this game. Just like their MO for the entire season, the Pacers got everyone involved. Pascal had 21, Nembhard went for 18, and Mr. Overrated went off for 31 to lead the Pacers to a 114-105 victory at Rocket Arena. These 4 teams will make for an interesting conference finals, I can say that much.